everybody. Welcome back to the premiere of Defiant. I feel like, so I'm setting up my new camera, and my head feels like enormous. My head's always enormous, but it feels extra big. So I'm self-conscious about that, but there. I'll just adjust that and move that. Hello, wonderful cast. Look at this. Everybody's
Hello.
here. Almost everybody. We're missing one. Our friend Val is over on her channel, Valdrianth, running stuff for Extra Life this weekend. And so we're excited about that. And she'll be back next week with an angel himbo. Okay. All right. Cool. So let's go around. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go around and we are going to check in with everybody to see, give us your name, whatever you want to be called, your pronouns, and then also tell me a little bit about your character and who they are. I'll start. I don't have a character. I'm Doc Rimbo. I'm otherwise known as Justin. I use he, him, or they, them pronouns, and I'm super happy to be here. Let's go directly to my stage left, and it's our friend Ray. Ray, hi, how are you?
Oh, hey, I'm doing great. If you don't know me, I'm with a brick or Ray. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns. I am really excited. I'm playing Mon Murray, who also uses she or they pronouns. I play the diva, and specifically I'm playing the thirst diva. So, basically she feeds on others to satiate my needs. So I basically I'm an attention person. I want everyone's attention all the time. My house is house Octo. Is it ACHTO? Is
Good.
that Octo? Okay.
Octo Cthulhu.
Yes.
Octo. Yeah.
And my creed is claim your due. I don't do anything unless you do something for me in return. So I'm really excited to see where this leads me. Oh, and I have a beautiful wife named Yulia.
That's
and
awesome.
she's a siren.
That's good.
So yeah, that's me.
It's the wild sort of reality that we're crafting for ourselves. That reminds me, so Ray said she has a court. All of our characters in this are like minor lords and ladies in this sort of hierarchy of immortals. And so we'll get into that a little bit more later. So when they talk about their court, they're talking about the people who actually like live to make them happy and serve them. Let's keep going around. We'll go in a clockwise way, and we'll talk to Mama Cadence, Magdalene Bloom. How are you?
Good, yeah. Yes, I'm Cadence, they, them, Magdalene Bloom on the socials. I will be playing Visar, a primordial leviathan of the House Haddad, whose creed is the weaker shall bow to your desires.
That's fantastic.
So a little different than the last.
Oh, yeah, this is out of... Yeah. You're playing against your usual type, is all I'll say about that.
Oh, yeah. Figure out, stretch and see what happens. If I explode, it'll just add more to the game, right?
Yeah, sure. Leviathans in this are monsters, but they're also kind of like dragon-y. Is that right? Is that the feeling that you
yes.
get?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a little bit of dragon in our blood. Hence the beautiful horns.
It's a good look. It's a look.
Pretty. Yes, it is a look. Yes, I am married to the wonderful Lucienne, who is an infernal of the House of Joy. Mm-hmm. So he's so wonderful. And I have a court of wonderfully close companions. And they're all so wonderful.
And what could go wrong?
And that's all. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Thank you, Cadence. We're glad you're here. Hey, Hull, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. I'm Hull. My pronouns are he, him. But for today, I'm playing Reuben, the Infernal Executioner. I am a part of House Joy, where our creed is simply rejoice. And I'm also leading this court of rising nobles in heavy quotation marks alongside my wonderful husband, uh, uh, my very wonderful husband, whose name escapes me at the moment just because I'm so filled with excitement
Overcome
to
with
begin
love.
starting today.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I
Love,
love it.
excitement, nervous. His name is Caleb, and he's going to shoot me for this, for forgetting.
Oh, I hope he doesn't find out. Does he watch? Does he watch Encounter Roleplay? Is he a subscriber to the
No,
channel?
that's
Okay.
part of the character. Done.
Oh, I'm just kidding. I was making a joke. Okay, great. So let's see. What do we have? So Monmarai is a deva, or a diva, however you want to pronounce it. Either way works. Who is like a god that was asleep inside a human for thousands and thousands of years and then woke up.
Pretty much.
And yeah, and Vesar is a leviathan, a monster that was sent to destroy the worlds, but instead got married. And Reuben is an infernal, which is a soul that was trapped in hell and basically put to work and then escaped hell to live on earth among other people. And next week, when Val comes back, you'll get to meet Val, who is our resident angel himbo. And that's just what it sounds like on the box. So we are going to head into the world of the city of New Zoara, which is a city on the East Coast. And I'll just do a little bit of lore dump here as we sort of get into this world of Defiant. Like many American cities, New Zoara was in hard decline. Over the course of the modern era, its factories were abandoned in the wake of advances in technology and cheap labor. Crime and corruption rose side by side, and eventually most city planning experts viewed the place as irredeemable. But that was before the apocalypse. At the end of days, apocalyptic forces were sent to Earth to rain chaos and destruction. Angelic warriors, leviathan beasts, even deities once asleep in human form, all ready to bring a swift and brutal end to creation. But some of those soldiers found something in humanity that they wanted to preserve. For some, it was the freedom to experience sensuality for the first time. For others, it was having their own devoted followers, or maybe they just wanted to be something more than a weapon. These beings, called the Defiant, took control and unleashed the power of the Sephiroth, powerful seals with which they created protective blooms around cities that then became safe havens for others like them. In these domains, angels, deva, leviathans, and even infernal, who escaped the failing borders of hell itself, found protection from the agents of the apocalypse that sought to destroy New Zoara and the rest of the world with it. Cities are ruled over by hierophants, extensions of the Sephira themselves, who are primarily concerned with feeding that protective force around the territory. And yes, there are still humans living in New Zoara, but they're all entranced by a magic known as the Carnival. And they go about their mundane lives, unaware of the apocalypse at their gates. Over the last 30 years, the Defiant have ruled New Zoara and reinvigorated it through their creative power and passion, though their reign has been far from harmonious. The rising tensions between factions resulted in outright civil war, and after heavy fighting, peace was finally restored about 2 years ago. The rebels managed to overthrow the old Hierophant, and the Sephira has chosen his successor. Now, under new leadership, the Defiant community is trying to make up for the lost time. But old wounds heal slowly. New Zoara itself is divided into 9 districts, and each of those has holdings within them, businesses, courts, bases of operation, all sources of power for the Sephira, ruled over by lords and ladies. Our characters are these minor lords and ladies, each controlling 4 of the holdings in Bridgewood Boulevard, one of the most prestigious neighborhoods in the city. And with that in mind, I'd like to hear from everyone. We're going to do a quick check-in. We're going to talk about your holding, so the place where you have your court, and the court itself. So let's go around. We'll go with the same order here. We'll start with Monmarai. Monmarai, where do you make your court? What's your holding?
My holding is Odyssey Club. So it's just off the boulevard in a less crowded alley. It's a club. It's changed owners in styles numerous times, but I am now the proprietor of the club and have renamed it Sinister and have turned it into a modern speakeasy.
Oh, interesting. And what sort of changes have you made to the club itself since you've been in charge, however long that has been? What does it look like? Any special features that we should know about?
So the bar top is completely black granite, and the underlights are always purple. It's a very, like, there's purple suede, it's black and purple, that is the main color. So everything you see is played off of that. The bar itself it's very minimal. So there's only like one bottle of each type of liquor that is offered on the wall. It is very dimly lit. There's like candelabras and chandeliers that have actual candles in them, very medieval style, with keeping it very chic. So I did an entire stylistic revamp of the space, you could say.
Revamp, so to speak. So
Yes.
to speak, to use the word vamp. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Really great. Tell me about Monmarai's court.
All right. Her court is of absolute devotion, so they are very much about her and pleasing her and making her happy. And basically, any of the other Defiants they find extremely distrustful and distasteful. They are devoted to me absolutely without question ever. And if that is ever questioned, then they are no longer inside the court.
Lovely.
But
Ooh.
I have a
You don't
couple
have to... Yeah.
I was gonna say I have a couple just like super important people to me, but everyone else is just kind of there to do my bidding.
Excellent. Very good. Who among your court, you don't have to describe everyone, who is one of your courtiers that you trust the most?
His name is Asmodeus. He is my bodyguard. He is who accompanies me anytime I leave the court or the holding. The number one person who is at my side pretty much all the time, besides my wife, of course. But yes, Asmodeus is they are my go-to whenever I need something.
What does Asmodeus look like?
He looks very much like Achilles from the Hades video game, to be very honest.
All right. Right on. Right on. Okay.
Very tall, very broad-shouldered, very slender. He's got the curly blonde hair, and he's got a little bit of a scruffy beard, though. That's the difference. He's got a little bit of scruff going on.
Excellent. Is it a hipster beard?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. A little bit. Excellent. I'm going to ask you, I want to give you one more question about your court. Let me see. What am I going to ask? What's the main issue that you've been dealing with in your court lately?
Jealousy. People
having rumors that they are closer to me than others, and that is putting some of my courtiers between each other and causing some internal strife, is who adores me the most.
They're all competing for your affection.
Yes.
And if not your
always.
affection, then just your attention. Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. Very good. All right, let's talk to Vesar. Vesar, what is your holding?
Yes.
What part of the city do you have control over?
My holding is Glen Park Avenue. It is, let's see if I can find it. It's several tenement buildings, lovely old buildings on a cobbled street that are connected. So inside we made it into just one huge manor, if you will. It's sort of a cross between a medieval manor house and an industrial loft. Brick and wood and the beams. Oh, it's beautiful.
Real old construction.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I like that. I can see it now. And do you just use it as a place of residence primarily? As just sort of a home for you and your court?
Well, we live on the upper floors, but the downstairs floor, that is for two separate areas. One is for business, the formal dining room, the lounge area, where we can get together with people and talk business. Important things happen there. And the other half, informal dining room, a dance floor, lights, DJ booth, a stage for a band. That's where the fun happens.
Excellent. Wonderful. If there's something that we know about Vesar, it's that she likes to party. And so she set up a perfect space for that. And I think, I don't know when this came in, but I see that Mitch gave Visar an extra shard that shows up in her window. And so we'll just assume it's because she likes to party. And Mitch approves, wherever Mitch is.
Yes. Yes.
Tell me
you
about
can't go
Visar's
wrong with a good party.
court. That's right. That's right.
Yes.
And in this case, these shards represent your connection to that field of energy that surrounds the city. So with your parties, maybe you're fueling that defense mechanism to keep the apocalypse outside. Tell me about your court and what the structure is, and maybe pick out someone in your court to share some details about.
My court is a small one, but they're always by my side. They're a diverse bunch that work together well, quite efficient. And they're very loyal and capable. I have an assistant, an advisor, guardian, and someone who's an expert on such things as fashion, keeping up with modern trends so that we're all beautifully attired, listen to the right music, that sort of thing.
I wish I had a person like that in my life, right? Not just a stylist, but just like a trend-aware person, right? Wouldn't that be great? Who among these courtiers, who do you trust the most? Now, obviously, you have Lucian, and you trust your spouse.
Oh, yes,
But
definitely.
who is the one that you trust the most?
Oh, dear. I would probably have to say my guardian, Zamil.
Oh.
He's always there, always ready to act if any of us need anything. If there's any trouble. Yeah.
That's good. Wouldn't mind one of those either. In Glen Park, you're holding. Are you aware of any courtiers who are causing problems in your court?
Sometimes my dear husband does tend to drink and partake of other substances a bit too much. And then there's this cat, but that's beside the point. Yes,
That's
and
canon now that you have a cat in your court.
yeah, Lucian, when he partakes, he does get a little over involved in things, whether it's anger or taking people down to the basement fun room.
Yeah, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a challenge. And so, I'd like you, Cadence, Visar, to make a roll for me. Now, you can look at your traits that your character has. Based around this question of are any members of your court causing problems, and what you think of your husband, your awareness of Lucian, you can add to this roll. So for those of you at home, again, a new system, but we'll start with 3d6 as our base roll. You want a 5 or above, and each 5 or above is a success. Now, anytime that you use one of your traits that your character has, you increase one of your lowest die up to a d8. Once all three are d8s, you can do it again to increase them one at a time to a d10, and so highly increasing your chances of success. So, let's look at your sheet, Visar.
Yes.
Let's look at your character. What do you see as something that would help you be aware of problems within your court, your relationship with your courtiers?
One I notice is who do I struggle to control?
Yeah. Now, this is a question.
Yes.
And so I want to focus on your traits, so things that describe your character. So, for example, one I see...
Yes.
Yeah. One I see is that one of your strengths as a warrior is awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would roll that over and say that's at least one more, one dice increase. Do you see anything else that you want to add?
Goodness. Just maybe my powerful glare. Give him that look.
Sure. Okay. So what I'll have you roll is 2d8s and 1d6. And anything that's above a 5 is going to be a success.
That's a 10. I should have had these set out here. There we go.
No worries.
All right. I have an 8, a 6, and a 3. So I got an 8 on the D8.
Mm-hmm. So that's 2 successes. The 3 is not, but let's see. With 2 successes, you're aware of most things that happen within your court, and you have a pretty good finger on the pulse of your courtiers and the general climate. On this particular day, let's say that last night was one of your notorious parties, and you noticed that you remember at the party you didn't spend any time with this person, but there was a younger woman, maybe not even 20, and you remember noticing her at the party because she was dressed very little, kind of had a blouse or a skirt that might have really more been like a shift, you know what I mean, like a nightgown, and garters holding up some stockings, and she was having a good time last night and hitting it pretty hard. You never saw her leave. You did see her go off with your husband somewhere, and you're assuming maybe she's still down in that basement. So you're aware of that. Hang on to that reality. We can decide what you want to do in just a little bit. And in the meantime, let's go over to Hall. Let's go over to Ruben and say, hey, Ruben, tell me about your holding. What's your territory like? Where does Ruben make his home?
Currently, we're held up in Bridgewood Central, specifically the train station there.
Train station. Now, is it still a train station?
It depends on your definition of train station. Does it have a train?
Okay.
Yes. Does it have the big hall? Yes. Is the train on the rails? Not yet.
Okay. Where is the train?
Well, some of the cars have been refurbished to accommodate our court for housing. So we have beautiful we have a beautiful, what I like to call making do aesthetic of various tipped over or rewired and affixed plumbings in different sort of carts, parts of
nice.
train carts that are sort of set out around the vicinity. As for the train itself, there is the main engine, but unless you're planning on only going one way, I don't recommend using it.
Ah, I see. Yeah, this is a good time to let folks who are watching know that in this world, you can go between districts in New Zoara. You can go to different areas, but you can't leave the city itself. And so you know that out there must be other cities, but this train has a limit of how far it can go, right? Before you're out in the apocalypse itself.
Pretty much.
So, what do you use these train cars for? Is it just living space? Is it recreational space?
Living spaces for now. I think we're still in the planning phase of if we're going to actually fix up some of the trains and work towards getting the train sort of up and running for one reason or another, or if we're just sort of going to build up from here. But for right now, most of the cars are recycled, so to speak.
Yeah, repurposed. Something like that. Right. Here's what I'm going to say. So, as characters throughout the campaign, you can make plans that are called endeavors. So these are longer than challenges, and depending on how complicated they are, they'll just take some work to get there. So it sounds to me like getting some sort of public transportation train thing up and running. Do you think that would be a good endeavor for you?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like that'd be a perfect end goal once we figure out exactly how to do that without making any of the other houses angry, for lack of a better term.
Excellent. I love it. So this is a complex plan. It's not really complicated master plan level stuff. So if you look on your character sheet or a character sheet, basically you've got 6 boxes for this endeavor. And as the season progresses, any time you use between events to work toward this, anything you do in-game, in a roleplay scene, anything that sort of helps this, you'll be able to check one of those boxes off and maybe get that train line up and running. I like that. So, a note, before we go back, we're going to see what's in Visara's basement. But a note before we go back about the current state of affairs in the city of New Zoara. New Zoara is watched over the, let me see here, I can bring up my notes here. Yes, it is. New Zoara is watched over by a Princepsa. So it's a female ruler. She is an angel, literally an angel, named Amathea Zeruel. And for those of you, I'll put that in green room chat for folks to see. A few years ago, Amathea Zeruel's husband was found dead outside of town, murdered. And since then, she's struggled quite a bit. She has a son who serves as her champion, works at her side, but the rumors that you've been hearing around town are that, for the most part, she's crushed. She's depressed. She hasn't remarried. She hasn't even that actively been seeking a spouse. And as all of you know, marriage in this reality is kind of a social necessity. Like, people have arranged marriages, or at least they're seen as something that everyone should do sooner or later, no matter what their sexual identity is. People make commitments like this for political reasons, personal reasons. Recently, within the past few weeks, she has enacted a new law in the city. And the law is as follows: love brings nothing but despair. So in her mind, it would be best if Defiant reveled in connections with many different partners and not attach themselves to one person. It seems kind of counterintuitive, but the gist of this law is that all relationships between Defiant are to be kept casual and non-committal. So all of you know this. You know that she has some kids running around. You know there's some squabbles over trying to find her the right partner. You would also probably know that what a lot of people in this area might see as a great personal tragedy, others see as a great political opportunity to be her next spouse. But so far, she's turned down all potential candidates, regardless of their bloodline, gender, or their personal agenda. Let's go back to Visara's house. You know that your husband snuck away from the party last night. It looks like he was headed towards the stairs down to the cellar, the fun room. And he had that young girl with him. Maybe 19, 20, something like that. What does Visara do when she makes this realization?
Keeping in mind this new law, I'm very conflicted. But curious. I would follow them down, or go downstairs and see what fun they're up to.
Yeah. Now it's the morning after. It's not unheard of that whatever they were doing last night is still going on this morning. But as you make your way down the stairs, exposed brick on the walls, some dim light from candles or lanterns, something like that, setting the mood lighting in the basement. You hear mostly the sound of metal clacking against metal, and some light sort of grunts from a feminine voice. You hear this voice, a higher-pitched voice, sort of going like that.
I have no shame. I'm going to go and check out, see what they're doing.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You round the corner into the fun room, and And your husband's not there, but standing next to the table, the funroom table, which is the one that has kind of like the links and restraints on it, that can like be tilted in either direction. One of those is this girl from the previous night. She has one arm handcuffed to the table. She's still wearing this slip of a dress, and every time she moves, you can see those garters underneath holding her stockings up. She's got one high-heeled shoe on, and in her free hand, she has a tiny handbag that she's sort of waving around as she tries to pull her arm out of these handcuffs. And she sees you enter, and she says, "Oh, hi. Do you have a key for this? Because Lucian left, and I don't know what happened to him, but he didn't come back." Like that.
He left you laying there.
Oh, yeah, like he said we were going to do something, and I'm not loving this right now. And she's sort of, she seems kind of chipper and positive. And she says, "But like I have places to be, so I'm not trying to, like, it was a great party. It was super fun. The drugs were great, but I have to go. So if you, like, do you have a master key or something like that? Or a hacksaw?"
What's it worth to me to let you go?
She has this sort of confused sort of look on her face. And she says, "Well, I don't know. I mean, what are you into?" She says in all earnestness, looking into your eyes.
Well, you did say you had places to go, so I wouldn't want to keep you.
Oh, gosh, you're so sweet. I mean, you can. I've got like a few minutes.
Few minutes.
It's not long enough. She says, "Oh, I'm sorry." She says, "I forgot to introduce myself." And she sort of like does this goofy thing where she pulls, like tries to stretch over to where you are with one hand still handcuffed to the fun table. And she sort of like holds her hand out. She goes, "I'm Denothea Zarowell," which you recognize as the last name of the Princepsa.
Well, I am very pleased to meet you.
A pleasure's mine. She says, "But seriously."
So
Yes.
Do you come to my parties often?
It's not like, how do I put this? She says, "It's not like I only want to come to your parties. I go to like wherever there's a party, like whenever. Because, I mean, right? And
Right.
like, basically, your parties are banging," she says. But like no shame. But I'm going to a different party at the what's it called? It used to the Club Sinister. I've got one there tonight. And so like if I'm late for that one, then I don't get to party anymore. Also, this is chafing my wrist.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to damage that luscious skin of yours. So soft and supple. Maybe we can meet each other at the party tonight and chat.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, if you want to come hang out with us, you're, I know you, she says, and she sort of snaps her fingers and she says, "You are Lady Vesar. Yeah?"
Exactly. Yes. Very good.
Okay. No, you are totally welcome to hang out with me and my friends. And especially if you get me out of here, and we'll have a great time. I've got all the connections.
Excellent. Well, just so happens in my pocket here, I have a key.
Oh, good. And she sort of like stands aside and sort of shuffles from one foot to the other, trying to get her other shoe on, and sort of like holds it out, expecting you to unlock it for her.
I will unlock it and gently remove it from her.
She says, "You are the best." And she leans forward and gives you a hug, mostly with her hands. So she sort of leans forward like this and like hugs you like that. And then she sort of says, "Okay, where's my phone?" And she takes her handbag and she turns it over and dumps it onto the table and dumps everything out. And just in a big mess onto the fun table. And she like grabs her phone and she takes everything else, her chapstick and her makeup and her gum and her house keys and all that stuff. And she sort of like dumps it all back into her thing. And she says, "Okay, do you know where the place is? You know Club Sinister?"
Oh, yes. Very familiar with it.
Oh, good. It used to be the worst. And then they did all this thing with like a makeover, and they went down to this minimalist sort of thing, and it's everyone's going to be there. And she says, "Okay, thanks." And she like leans over and like she kisses you on the cheek just really briefly, and she waddles out of the room on extraordinarily high heels.
Children.
Children, you think to yourself, and not only children, but the children of the Princepsa, and someone who appears to spend most of her time at big parties and stuff like that. Let's go over and talk to our friend Monmarai at Club Sinister, because apparently you have a party tonight, and
I do.
I'm not sure if you're aware of it. Did you know? Do you think you knew already ahead of time?
I think I would have known, but I probably forgot, to be very honest, because everyone else does most of the things I tell them to do, and then I just arrive and it should be done. So she's probably totally forgot about the party, and probably I imagine somebody says something to her in the midst of the day, and she's like, "Of course, yes, I will be there. I'm aware of this."
Excellent, great. So let's say that we're going to look around your court here, and you didn't get one of these questions yet about your court. So I'm going to sort of spin it over towards you, and we'll see what you know about what's going on with your courtiers. So here's the question I have for you. Where'd he go? I got him. There we are. Is there something happening within your court that is affecting the way you run your business? What do you think?
Probably. I would assume that it has to deal with the inner workings of who's working with who and on what sort of projects. People trying to outdo other people in different ways to make themselves seem more important to me. But then it kind of is too much and it ends up ruining projects and ends up like costing me time and money and effort to kind of compensate.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
So here's what we're going to do. Thinking about it in terms of like a business, would you say that what you're trying to figure out here is specifically how is your court's structure, makeup, affecting the business of the club itself? Okay. So that's the role we're going to make. So
Cool.
check your traits on your character sheet that you've got. All 9 of them. You should have 9. 9.
Yes.
And we will see, is there anything that would apply to you as a business person?
I have investigation and searching as 2 of my talents.
Good. I think that applies for sure. I'll also say, though, that since I have this red die up here, that some of your courtiers aren't there. Some of them have gone out to stock up, to restock on those. The weird thing about having single bottles of alcohol is you have to go out and buy new ones all the time, right? You don't buy them in bulk. And so they're going out looking for rare vintages, expensive bottles, and so you can't really pick their brains. So you have a 2 from your traits, but I'm going to take one of those away. So I'm going to use that. It's gone. And you will roll 1d8 and 2d6s, trying to get that 5 or above.
Ooh, I got 1 success. 1 5.
Excellent. Now, 1 success. Okay. It's good. It's not the best. It's not really what you want, but it's better than no successes at all. So you are going over the books. You are reading through all of sort of like you. I get the feeling that Monmarai generally doesn't involve herself in the financial aspects of this. Would you agree?
No, yeah, she definitely has someone that takes care of that for her.
But you decide that you're going to check that out. You're just going to sort of look through it, and you are looking through the books, and you realize that there are numbers dropped. At some point, I mean, it goes from one income one night is like 2,986. And then on the next page, it switches to 1,986. And it could be a typo. Or it could be that someone's stealing from you. Or it could be something else. Maybe it just wasn't recorded. But that sort of sticks with you. As we're making these rolls, as we're making these rolls, remember, if you get any 1s, tell me you get 1s. For those of you watching, looking for the mechanics, anytime somebody rolls a 1, that adds to your trouble counter on your character sheet. And once you reach your maximum trouble counter, you get an affliction. Bad things happen. Something that influences your future rolls. So, you notice that. Does Monmarai take any immediate action to address this?
No. She's going to compartmentalize it, and she knows who does her books, so I think she's just going to be paying a little bit more attention to, like, especially tonight, everyone's atmosphere, the bartender's body language, seeing kind of like trying to patrol it a little bit more than she normally would. Yeah. She definitely is she's gonna lay low on this for the time being until she has more information.
I like that. So as you're laying low and you sort of close the books and put them aside, are you in some sort of like back office? Where's the office for the club? Where's the place where they would keep the books?
So there is a back office that I have put in that you can only get through with like a certain, like there's a hidden button in the wall and you have to kind of know where it is. And the only people who have access are me, Asmodeus, and my financier. So it's kind of like in the back little, it looks like a closet space would be back there, but it's just kind of like a wall. And then there's like the secret door that kind of comes out. But there is an office back there that those records are kept in.
Cool. Excellent. You're back there in the wall. You're in the wall, technically.
I am in the wall.
As you sort of exit, as soon as you leave that room and sort of scan the area and close it behind you, you hear a sound, and it sounds like in the main room of the club, someone is singing. Just one voice and a piano. And as soon as you hear the voice, you know who it is. It's Iulia. It's your spouse. And You slowly walk out into the main room of the club, and you see her on the stage with some other a lowborn piano player. You're not even sure of his name, but they're singing some sort of old torch song or ballad, and everybody else in the place, all the staff, you're not open yet, so all the staff, a few of the cooks, people who make sort of the bar food, and um, just some of your court, they're all sort of standing around watching her sing. And when you enter, she looks up and she makes eye contact with you. And you feel like you're the only two people in the room. And the song ends, and there's polite applause. And it's at that point that your court realizes that you're in the room. And so all of them flood over in your direction. And I think you have a bit of a ritual, a tradition that you do when you enter. What is that? You want to describe that for us?
Yeah, so anytime that I present myself for the first time in my court, I go around and everyone kind of comes up to me and gives me like a nice little bow and a respectful kiss on the back of the hand to acknowledge that I am there and that they notice me and that they are giving me a small moment of their time.
So one by one, slowly, each member of your court who's present bows and kisses your hand, and each one is trying to make it meaningful, right? It's a similar action, but each one is trying to get your attention with the way they hold your hand and the words they say, my lady, you know. And when you get to the end of all these people, Yulia is waiting for you, and she looks at you, and she looks you up and down, and she says, I was supposed to be getting all the attention. And then you come in the room, and all the attention's on you.
My dear. And I will go over and embrace her and give her the softest kiss on the cheek and just, like, as I pull back, kind of whisper to her, she's like, you always have my attention. Are you excited? You did lovely. You sound more and more beautiful every time I hear you.
She says, it's my genetics, she says. You know how it is. I can't help it. It's like breathing whenever I sing. And I thank you, she says. You, as soon as you walked in the room, I saw you come in, she says, and I saw that thing that you do when you're stressed and your eye is twitching. So what's going
on? Why don't we talk in another room? And I will take her hand and I will lead her back to the office and talk in the office.
Okay. Does she have previous knowledge? I don't think you listed her before, but I would imagine she would know about this room.
Yeah, I don't. She usually wouldn't have a reason to go in there unless I tell her to, but she knows of it and can get in if she wants. But yeah, I'll lead her in and then kind of like make sure nobody has followed me or whatever and shut the door. Dear, I normally don't peruse the books of the club because I can't be bogged down with such mediocre business. However, I noticed a little fluke. Something's not quite right. The numbers aren't. And then I'll like open the book and kind of like show her.
And she looks it back and forth. I'm going to make a roll for her. That's what I'll do. Because I know she has some traits that we know of, your spouse. And one of the traits she has is that she has a disciplined mind. So I'll use that trait, and we'll see if she can give any insight into it. No? It's one success with a 6. She looks it up and down. She says, no, you're right. Something's wrong there, but it could be anything. I mean, the court take turns balancing the books, don't they?
Usually not taking turns. I mean, I have the one that really pays more attention to it, but I mean, we have multiple workers and multiple people doing shifts and counts of the register and things of that nature, so maybe it's wrapped up in that. Maybe we just have some lowborns who can't count.
Oh, that's unfortunate, she says, in kind of a mocking tone. She says, well, I hear we're supposed to have a party tonight. Yes, for the Princepsa's daughter?
Yes. To be honest, my dear, I totally
Yeah?
forgot. Yes. Yes, something of the sort. It's very angelic sounding. You know me. They all kind of blur together, those names. But yes.
She says, I don't know, some of the things I've heard about her, she sort of leaves, not trouble in her wake, but rough waters, if you know what I mean.
All right, well, you being of the House of Storm and me being me should figure it out. Hopefully nothing arises more problematic than is necessary, because then we just throw everyone out. It's the best part about
I mean,
owning
how hard can it
stuff.
be to throw a party? No,
I
it'll be fine.
I don't think it's very difficult at all. I mean, we've had a couple thrown bigger extravaganzas here, and they've been pretty all right. So let's continue with that energy, and if anything shall arise, you know, I will definitely take care of it.
Oh, I'm sure you will. And she sort of reaches out and takes your hand. And she says, are you done balancing the books?
I am. Very much so.
Well, we have all this time before the party. And with her back foot, she kicks the door closed behind her. And we just sort of fade to black there.
Yeah, we'll fade to black.
Unless you want to roll a challenge for smooch times or something like that.
Is that a thing?
I don't know. Why not?
Sure. Do it. Let's do it. Let's roll for
Let's
smooches.
do that. Let's roll for smooches. We'll see how fulfilling this experience is. Yeah?
Yes.
And I'm going to let you do the roll. I won't do it for her. Let's say that in this specific situation, you are the dominant one in this relationship. Okay? And she is just following your lead.
All
and
right, so
let's hear about it.
Do I pick traits? Is that I have to pick the traits?
You pick traits, and you can increase your proficiency. And I've got your thing open here too. Now you have a personal play that dominates this for sure.
I do. I think all 3 traits from my power play theme work. I have discipline, teasing, and pleasure.
The power play theme. You want to tell people about this personal theme called power play?
Yeah, sure. Let's do some Monterey lore.
Adult content, sex positive theme, TOS.
Yes, TOS, sex positivity. So I have a theme called the power play, and basically it says you are enthralled by the game of domination and submission. So I'm very good with establishing that type of power balance in an intimate relationship. And so I've picked the traits discipline, teasing, and pleasure out of those.
All of those.
The sets. They all work.
Right out of the gate, anytime you're involved in a situation like this, you're already rolling 3d8s, instead of 3d6. Now, do you have anything else that would apply as well?
I do have passionate as my main diva trait.
And you rely on charm, and I would say charm applies here too.
Okay, cool. Then yeah.
Yep. And I'm just gonna double check also your shadow theme. The impression that people have is that you're attractive.
Okay.
So you are gonna roll 3d10.
Sick.
And which makes sense because this is a person you're devoted to. This is a person you love.
Boom.
Nice. I mean, how much detail do we have to go into here about this, right? With 3 successes,
It's a power smooch.
it's a power smooch. It's a power smooch. With 3 successes, you get something more from the situation. Here's what we'll say.
Okay.
You you are lying there on the desk together post this. And you have that sort of post-intimacy clarity of mind that happens sometimes, I've heard. And you have this sort of like realization that one of your courtiers, and let me see if I can think of who it was. I'm going to look at your notes here. It's the one called Posh.
Mm-hmm.
Has a brand new designer dress that is above her pay grade. So you're lying there with Iulia, and you're just sort of, you're doing aftercare, let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
And you're having this sort of time together, and you're thinking about her, and then you're thinking about the rest of your court, and you realize, that's like a designer dress. Where did she get the money for that? And so that's, we sort of leave you with there.
Cool.
Okay. Ruben, my man, let's jump back and check in with Ruben. You are in your court at the place with the trains. And 2 of your courtiers, we'll say, I'm going to find their names. Do we have names for your courtiers? Yes, we do. 2 of your courtiers, let's say Libra, who's your stylist, and Marcelo, who's the gossip, right, are sort of bickering back and forth, and mostly Marcelo is kind of needling at Libra. Your court, if I remember, is a court of newcomers, right? So, yeah. Do you want to explain? I think you're muted, but do you want to explain to everyone what that means in terms of court dynamics?
Of course. So we are the court of newcomers, which mostly means that all of my courtiers and those who work under me pretty much just got there. And we are trying our best to get ourselves together, but since we haven't exactly worked for long and most of us don't know each other, it's a lot of discordant conversations, and no one can really agree on anything. So for the most part, everyone individually is good at what they do, but together it's like wrangling cats.
Gotcha. So 2 of your cats are mewling at one another and doing the things with it, like bat, like that, you know, and they're testing it, right? And they're sort of going back and forth. Do you address this? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get into it. If I'm the head of the court, I gotta settle some disagreements here and there.
Okay. How do you proceed? What's your style in terms of resolving conflict like this?
Let's see. I feel as though it changes depending on who is engaged with who, and since these 2 are probably the most catty of my crew. Wow, can't really seem to get out of that analogy. I just strut over to both of them and I pretty much say, both of you need to shut up, and one of you needs to tell me why the other one is shouting.
Excellent. Let's do this as a challenge, yeah? So,
Yep.
Look over your traits, and you can let me know how you want to, this is kind of the equivalent of an intimidate check, but it's really leadership. So if you were to put this in a specific phrase, would you say you want to know what they're arguing about, or you want them to shut up?
I want to know what they're arguing about.
Okay. Great. Any traits that you see that will help you with this?
I'm going to go ahead and say fearsome as an executioner, since I'm firmly establishing my power in this dynamic. Feels like a weird thing to say, if not very appropriate. And I would make the argument for wise as my judge trait, given that I am making the distinct call as to how to, or I'm making the call as to how to go about dealing with these two particular individuals engaging with one another.
Excellent. Can I add one?
Sure thing.
That as part of your Aegis identity, you have a trustworthy presence. Yeah? So they would
Yep.
listen to you, I think. Just right out of the gate. So how about 3d8? Does that sound good?
Sounds perfect.
All right. 3d8.
3d8.
Real dice.
That's a 3, a 7, and a 4. So
One success.
just the
And
one.
remind me, what was your goal here?
Was to get at least one of them to tell me why they're bickering with each other.
Okay. You tell them to quiet down, and instead of stopping abruptly and giving you deference, the conversation it kind of slows, right? And you catch the end of it. And your stylist, what was his name again? Oh boy. Libra. Their name was Libra. And they love to get the last word in. And so they just sort of, instead of like explaining themselves to you, which is what you wanted, they split and walk apart, and you hear Libra say, it's impossible. She can't just keep making rules whenever she wants. It can't be real. You have to be lying. And Marcelo doesn't say anything, but walks away, giving Libra the finger. And so that sort of like puts a weird question on your mind of what they're talking about. And then you hear the footsteps behind you, and you hear a familiar voice. Now, we don't have details yet on your mentor, right? But you have a mentor who, because you're a prodigy, and you have a mentor who gives you advice. And do you want to describe just a rough outline of who this person might be, what origin they are?
Oof. Oh boy. I think they could probably, if origin-wise, I'm gonna go ahead and say probably a Leviathan. They probably have that commanding presence of a dragon, which is
Nice.
partly one of the reasons why I'm also the way that I am as a attempted leader.
Excellent. So this Leviathan, I'm going to look down here at my Leviathan houses. We'll say that they're of the house Primordial, which is, that makes sense. But they have big dragon energy. And we're going to say that they are a primordial of the house Shemesh. And if we can write this down so we remember it later. And that's the House of Fire, which sort of has that big dragon vibe to it. And you hear this man's voice behind you, and his name is Barach, which is like Barach. And Barach, behind you, you hear his deep voice say, "They're never going to listen to you if you don't assert yourself."
I immediately straighten up my posture and turn to face him and say, "That is correct. Though I'm less concerned of them listening to me and more concerned about listening to one another if we're gonna get things done."
Hmm. How polite? I don't know what the word is. Listening to each other. How cooperative, he says. And he's standing there. He has these horns that curl down kind of behind his ears, and permanently looks down his nose. And you've known Barack long enough to know that it has nothing to do with his opinion of you. He just always sort of has his head tilted back. And yeah, and so he sort of looks you up and down. He says, "How are your plans going for your train line?"
They are going. In that they are still under negotiation of which house we should try to make negotiations with in terms of establishing another station.
Ah, I see. You do realize that if you're going to be running a train line between the provinces, you'll need the approval of the Princeps and the Princepsas of those places.
Yes, and I figured that having another house in agreement about the proposition of a train line running from one place to another would perhaps give us more of a leverage to her. It's a multi-step process starting from the
Yes,
lowest
yes.
rung all the way to, and yeah, I'm very aware, Master.
You see him roll his eyes a little bit, and he's like, always takes so long to get what you want, isn't it? Wouldn't it be nice if I knew that the Princepsa of this province was going to be somewhere tonight, and I knew where that was?
Uh, I mean, that would be more than nice. That would be excellent. Uh,
Hmm,
do you know
that's
that?
good. Does he know that? Let's make another challenge. Um, your goal here is to figure out if he knows something, and if so, what. So, I mean, obviously, you have these traits that come from your prodigy background uh, that might help, that might come in handy. You also have questions. And so each person has these questions under their names, and you can use one of those questions spending a shard. And I believe, if I'm counting correctly, you have 5 shards left as your starting shards. So if you want to spend one of those, you can also use a question and just right away get the answer.
I'll go ahead and make the check. I feel like this would make more sense to not know how to surpass his mentor in this way.
Yeah, I think that's true. And so let's see, what kind of traits do you want to apply to this? This is some valuable information towards your endeavor.
I'm going to say my mentor, I'm going to apply the sympathetic trait from my mentor because the whole reason he's helping me is probably because he pities me in some aspect.
Maybe he appreciates you too, or both. Okay,
It
so
can be
that's
both.
one. It can be both. Let's see, anything else? I mean, you look under Aegis, you still have that trustworthy presence. I would
That's
add
true.
that.
I would yep. Trustworthy. I would also say in that case, unmoved by intimidation, which kind of always feels like he's giving off that air.
I love it. So, unless you got anything else, that sounds like 3d8 that you can roll in this situation. Yeah.
Gonna go ahead and check. Unless you wanna upgrade one more in my politics training.
Okay, that sounds good. So 2d8 and 1d10.
Right.
I like that. This is a very political thing happening right here.
Okay. The D10 is a 4, but I rolled a 5 and a 6 on the D8.
Excellent. So that's 2 successes. And with 2 successes, the result says it's an almost perfect outcome. And what we're going to do this is I'm going to give you a choice to make. He sort of looks you up and down. He says, what exactly are you going to offer me? I mean, you're off on your own now. You don't need my gentle hand or my firm hand. Oh, I just get so lonely. What's in it for Barack? He leaves that question hanging out there.
You get the honor of the first station being named after you, as well as property rights to that particular station.
That seems to please him. Barack Shemesh Station, which is a mouthful. Say that 3 times fast. Barack Shemesh Station. And he says, all right, very well. He says, now, as you know, the Princepsa has 2 children. There is her daughter, Denethea, and her son, Velatron. Now, Denethea is a hurricane of a girl, but it is her birthday. And so tonight there's supposed to be a party at some club nasty times. I forget the name of it. What's it called? Club Naughty Bits. No. Club Sinister, that's the place. No, I've got it, I remember.
I'm aware.
Club Naughty Bits is a different place. He says, she'll be there tonight. Denethea, and so will her mother, and her brother. And, I suppose if you were there, you might be able to get the Princepsa's ear. As you know, she rarely goes out, so if you miss this chance, who knows what might happen.
Is that not to throw your plan into, not to cast a lot of speculation on that plan, but the whole family all in one place in a nightclub? Doesn't that seem kind of suspicious?
I mean, it's a birthday party. What are you going to do? No, I think you need an invitation. And unless they've invited you personally, I mean, you're on your own there. I've already got my train station. And he turns around and sort of like swaggers off and leaves you with this question of how am I going to get invited to this party?
Okay, well, the good news is if we can't get the train station agreed upon, then there's no train station for him to take.
That's absolutely right. That's a good point. Is you need to succeed, right? Let's move on here. Let's check back in with Visar. Visar. Lucian has appeared. He woke up middle of the afternoon. What does he look like? What's his jam? What sort of vibe does he give off?
I haven't even considered that yet. He's... Oh, goodness. Ask me a hard question, don't you?
Is he tall? Is he tall or short?
Say tall-ish.
Okay.
5'10", 5'11", yeah.
He's an infernal, and infernals such as Lucian or Reuben, they are marked by scars, which symbolize the torture that they went through in hell. But they only come out when they are either upset or aroused, or somewhere in between. What do his scars look like, and where are they?
On his chest. Just like a great beast has just clawed right across his chest.
And so as you walk in to your bedroom, which is up at the top of your property, the big window overlooking the city, he is just rolling out of bed, and his scars are starting to fade just a little bit, which means that something was agitating him. Maybe he had a bad dream. Maybe he was thinking of something that upset him, or whatever. But he sees you enter and he says, "Oh, hello, is it morning?"
Somewhere it's morning, not here.
Right. You look lovely. And he walks over and he gives you a kiss on the cheek. And he says, "That was you outdid yourself last night, dear."
Seems so did you.
Oh, what do you mean?
Oh, you left behind one of your little prizes in the basement.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. I forgot entirely. I latched her to the table so she wouldn't wander off, and I went to get a drink and just slipped my mind. I didn't even get her name.
Would you like to know who she is?
I suppose this is important.
Does the name Denethea Zuriel mean anything to you?
His eyes go wide and the color drains from his face, and his scars start to light up just a little bit, and he says, "Double shit." Was she upset?
I believe she was more upset that she was left behind than forsaken by someone.
Well, at least she had the table to sleep on. Do we have any plans today? What are we doing?
Apparently we're going to a party tonight. It's sinister.
Again? Oh, rats, he says, but he's not upset. He's being facetious. Is our club sinister? What's the occasion?
I do not know, but it's a party that Denethea is going to. And I figured since we're getting to know her so well.
Yes, she's a good friend of ours, and she sleeps in our basement sometimes. Very good. Now, there's something we should talk about, and he sort of sits down on one of these like overstuffed chairs, poofs that you've got around the bedroom, and sort of like motions for you to sit next to him.
Yes, dear.
What do you think about this? Listen, I know that we are good friends, and ours is a better marriage than most would have. We're not soulmates or whatever disgusting, yucky thing that is. But what do you make about this law of no monogamous relationships and things like that?
Well, it seems you're quite fond of it.
Oh, well, I'm a free spirit. I always have been. I'm more concerned about you. I know that my presence is intoxicating. And I can see you getting committed to me, but, I'm kidding. Of course, you know I love you. It's just my love for you is unique and quirky.
Yes, you could call it that, definitely. Yeah.
I suppose as long as we keep from using the L word in public, it shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
Now, have
And
you
if
found any other partners recently? And he sort of leans in.
Well, that Denethea is kind of pretty. A bit vapid, but...
Well, she's young. I remember when she was awoken. Pause. So, in this reality, the Defiant exist up until adulthood in the bodies of mortal people, and then they go through this awakening in one form or another, and then their identity calls out to their true spiritual parents. So up until, I don't know, Denethea was a certain year of age, she was just some girl, and then turns out she's an angel because there's an angel living inside her. And so he goes on and says, "Oh, I remember when she was just awoken, and the Princepsa didn't have time for her at all. I suppose, I don't know, this is her getting revenge or acting out. But anytime I'm at a party, I see her there. Up until I don't remember anything. And then I still might see her, I just don't remember. But still, yes, she is delicious. And perhaps we could find some quality time together with her."
Oh, that would be lovely.
Well, I suppose we have to go to the party first, and I smell of
Yes.
alcohol, so I'm going to take a shower.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And he heads off to take a shower. So, a few hours go by. We'll do a little bit of a montage. I think back at Club Sinister, preparations are being made for this party. Now, no one told your staff that it was a birthday party, but you know that the Princepsa's daughter is going to be there, and so you figure it must be special. Does Monmarai have any special measures she takes to prepare for it?
I think she special wise just kind of like does more of the because a lot of the accoutrements, so there is like a small stage and everything like that. I think she just puts up like nicer curtains because it's all like purple and dark blue and black suede. So I think she's just changing the colors of the curtains to be more fresh, a little bit more lively. Definitely making sure that everything is clean and in order, like a little bit of OCD, but only because like she loves making a good impression.
Yeah, and she wants to. Yeah, absolutely. She wants to impress. The club will dress to impress. Absolutely. Hull, what about Ruben? How does he go about getting an in to this party?
Oh boy. I think he's going to ask the people in his court if one of them maybe has a hookup to get in.
Yeah, I like that. Let's look at some of your courtiers. Now, of everyone, I think you might have the largest court.
Whoa.
Yeah, well, you've got, what, 6 folks? Not to mention your spouse and yourself. It's the member of your court that you know the best, Johnny Lee, who he has a spare invitation. He was going to use it to kind of cause some harmless trouble, which is kind of his style. but he's willing to part with it in exchange for a favor to be determined later. You willing to take him up on that?
Yep. I know him well enough to know this is our usual trade-off.
Yeah. Excellent. So, you owe him a favor, but you've got an invite to this party. Now, we go to the party queen, Vesar. How are you dressed? Who are you bringing with you? The invitation that Denethea gave you was for plus however many you want. So you could bring a whole entourage if you like. But what preparations are you making?
Polishing my horns.
I hear coconut oil is good for that.
Oh, yes. Keeps them soft.
Right.
I'm probably just conversing with my courtiers and telling them about this party that we're going to be going to and why it is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And discussing any style decisions with Palantha.
Yeah.
And
Palantha is your super quirky expert who knows all the trends, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We'll say that's easy enough that Palantha is so skilled that you could easily do that, and is getting you in the most stylish things. Is there anyone from your court that you're not bringing with you?
Oh, goodness. Tempted to leave behind Eamon Keel, but he gets so cranky. And he's cranky enough to begin with. So I'll bring them all
as
along.
As your advisor, he suspects that you're going along this route. And he says, now, I know that you are tempted to leave me behind, but I think it would be best if I come with you. You never know when you might need a device at the most inopportune moment. But the choice is yours, of course, my lady, my lady. And he sort of like bows.
Well, as we are dealing with Princepsa's daughter, I suppose I could use some advice as to how to deal best with her. For you are very good with such things.
I was hoping you would say yes. I was hoping. And she sort of runs off to get ready in a very excited fashion. Now, just before the party is set to start, Monmarai, your entire court is present. Is there anything you'd like to do or say to them before the guests arrive?
Is Posh there wearing that dress?
Posh has not changed out of that dress for the past week.
Okay.
You think that perhaps Posh has been wearing the dress every day, and then they go home and they have it dry cleaned, and then they wear it again the next day. It's a nice dress.
Okay. Yeah, I as I'm striding around, just kind of perusing and watching, what is she doing at the moment when I walk up to her?
Posh is kind of taking the same posture that everyone else in your court takes, which is paying you very close attention and sort of standing politely, hands behind their back, and sort of smiling at you. Is Posh usually, do you consider Posh to be cunning, intelligent, or a little bit airheaded, or somewhere in between, or how would you describe it?
They're definitely aware and clever. That's why I have them in my court. They are very clever. They are very smart. But I think there is a an air to them that is like almost like sly and sinister. Like there is something underneath that there is a hint of on the surface, but it's one of those things where I think you gotta like really kind of pull it out of somebody. But she's they're very sweet and they're very kind, but there is that little like hint of I don't know about
they're
you.
They're kind, and you don't want to get on their bad side. And and as you approach, I think Posh pays close enough attention to you and knows you well enough that something is up. And they're sort of looking at you and they say, "My lady, are you worried about the party?"
I'm very thrilled and excited for the party. How are you feeling? I see that you are dressed for the occasion, my dear.
Yes. I just recently got this as a gift from an admirer, and so I wanted to look my best. I know I've worn it a lot, but look at the way it hangs on me.
It's absolutely ravishing. I mean, you said an admirer. Care to divulge?
Yes. I wish I knew. It's a secret admirer.
Oh, interesting.
It's just an unmarked package on my doorstep.
And you said this was at the beginning of the week, correct?
And they sort of do some math in their head. And yes, just after the weekend. We had that busy weekend, and then I went shopping on Monday.
Yes, we did have a very busy weekend. I was going over some of the books, and yes, we had a very lucrative weekend. I'm actually quite proud of us.
Yes.
I mean, are you enjoying your time here? Are you enjoying the work that you do? Do you feel fulfilled, my dear?
Oh, my lady, just being in your presence is so fulfilling.
I appreciate that. Well, you wouldn't want anything to happen to that dress, so pay very close attention to what you do tonight. It should be an interesting evening. I would hate for something to happen to it. And I will start to saunter.
Let's do a challenge.
Away.
Yeah. As you saunter away, let's do a saunter challenge.
Okay.
I'd like you to see what kind of insight you can get from Posh's reactions and the information they gave you.
Yeah, I want to read her body language, and when she paused to do the quick math in her head, that's sort of the thing that she really kind of pays the most attention to, or the lapses in the continuity of her story.
Yeah, because as well as they know you know Posh. Because they've been with you for a while. So what kind of traits do we want to bring in here?
I want to use searching.
Yeah.
Because this is not quite investigating. It's more just searching on the surface. And I want to use charm and clever.
Okay.
Those three.
Nice. Yes. It is a clever. You are a clever hunter, and you're hunting for truth. So let's have 3d8s, and we'll see what you come up with.
That is 3 successes, all with 7s. If I was in Vegas right now, I'd be making money.
That's a jackpot.
Yeah, that's jackpot. That's perfect.
Yeah. With 3 successes, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? Tell me again. Sort of state it specifically.
I want to, almost like an insight check. I want to see if there's anything under the surface that I'm getting from her body language and from this conversation.
Excellent. Let's say with those 3 successes,
more towards the secret admirer, in that of it.
With those, with those 3 successes, you are. Mom Mariah is thirsty in several ways, but one way in which you're thirsty is you like to feed on the people in your court sometimes. Would that be true?
Yes.
And because of that, you can sort of hone in on the pulse. You can see the twitches in their neck as they sort of rise or increase or decrease. And for the most part, Posh was very steady in giving their answers, except when they talked about that secret admirer. And then it's almost like you could smell the excitement coming out of their pores, right? As like, that's the truth, is that Posh has been given a very expensive gift. But by whom?
Interesting.
Now, here's what I want to ask in addition to that. Does Monmarai have any endeavors that she's working towards? Any
And remind me what
long-term
endeavors
goals? So endeavors are things that are just too complicated to be contained within a challenge, right?
Okay.
So Ruben wants to get the train lines up and running, but that's harder than just rolling 3d8s, right? That's going to take a series of steps and developments. So what's Monmarai's long game?
I think her long game is to have the strongest court. I think she wants to rise above and be almost on like a Princepsa's level, like of status and of attention and of notoriety. I think she very much wants to be that type of person. So I think that's what she strives for with her court, with her her business, with everything that she does, is keeping it as pristine and as special as she can.
Yeah, it's political advancement, we can say, right?
Yeah.
She wants to rise in the ranks of respect and authority. And something happens as a result of that is you're going to be able to, let's say that's another 6-box endeavor. So you need to check 6 things off before you can complete it. But one of those can be checked off now because the conversation you had with Posh sort of screwed Posh's head on right for this party. And you know there's going to be influential people at this party. So Posh is not only performing to the top of their ability, but they're inspiring the rest of your court to do the same.
Awesome.
Sound good? So that's 1 box on your endeavor. The party begins. The first person to arrive, other than some other minor lords and ladies from other holdings throughout the city. In fact, let me give you some of those descriptions here. We'll say that the first person to arrive is a woman she's another Deva, but she's about 6'5", and she has broad everything. You can see where the neckline of her dress comes down. You can see the muscle definition around her neck. You would know her to be someone who serves the Archon of Blessings, who's the Archon in the city who is in charge of assisting those who have been awakened, of those new Defiants. And her name is Halika Kyrios. I'll type that out for y'all in chat. She's one of the most influential Defiant in New Hathlon. Sorry, New Zoara. I changed it. But Halika is also sort of a gladiator. She likes to stage fights and things like that. But she has the ear of other powerful people, and she is tall, strong, big strong woman, and gorgeous, and of course, and comes in to the attention of many. And Monmarai, as soon as she comes in, you think, what is Halika Kyrios doing here for this party? Because, I mean, you knew that the Princepsa's daughter was going to be here, but it sort of like puts you on your toes. Other people come. Some lowborn are turned away at the door. Once you realize that this is sort of a fancy party, there's a recovery where you realize it's invite only, and some people just get sort of turned away. The next two folks to come in are a pair of what are their names? Oh, I gotta find them. Ah, yes, there we are. Of an angel and another deva, and you know them to be married. One of them is named Lord Avatron Heriel. He's an angel. And on his arm is his lady consort, Electra Kyrios, a cousin of the other Kyrios. This takes your notice as well, because they run the other club in town. They run a club called Club Vice. That club is less about speakeasy, cool, retro simplicity, and more about stuff that we don't talk about because of terms of service. So, Avatron Heriel, let me put it down there in the chat. Avatron Heriel is the angel, and on his arm is his wife, whose name is Electra Kyrios. And then, after a few more minor courtiers and noble folks come in, all with invitations, Denethea comes in. Now, for Ruben, for Vessar, would you guys be there already? Or would you make a late entrance? Yeah, she is a deva. That's it.
I'd probably be later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe you're not there when Denethea shows up. What about Ruben?
I would be there maybe a half hour after it's supposed to start, just to scope out who's there and who's coming in.
Okay, cool. So you're there, and Denethea walks in. Again, a wisp of a girl, kind of. She has long, wavy auburn hair. And as soon as she enters, all of the guests sort of turn their attention on her, and they all start wishing her happy birthday wishes. And she clutches her handbag, and she does this thing, like where she just like does this with her hands. Because if you've seen Schitt's Creek, you know exactly who I'm talking about. When she sort of like puts her hands out, like she says, "Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you for coming," and she's like super feigning excitement, not feigning, but like it's all performative, and she starts mingling around, and she's followed closely by a few other people. The first one is, let me get him up here. The first one is a man who you know to be her brother. He is named, where is it? Where is it? Gotta get my notes. Come on. His name is Velatron Zeruel. He is the Princepsa's son. Although because of the way awakening works in this world, they look nothing alike. He is a large man. He has dark skin and a beard. He has this broad-shouldered top, almost like a triangle in shape, but then a thinner bottom. His torso and legs sort of are athletic, like a runner's body almost. He's dressed in a finely tailored suit, and he enters just behind her with his wings flapping behind him and pulling them in. And he's currently on his phone. And any effort that anyone makes to sort of greet him, he just sort of like holds up his hand to say, "No, I'm on the phone." You know how it is. Velatron is then followed by a series of what you assume to be bodyguards, lowborn, infernal, and leviathans, who have suits on, dark glasses, and earpieces in. And in the middle of them is a woman in a black dress with dark eyes and sort of bags under her eyes that are concealed by makeup, but you can see through it. They even might be a little bit puffy from crying on the way over. And she sort of enters in, and any attention that was previously given to Denethea is now given to Amathea Zeruel, who is the Princepsa of this region. She comes in, she immediately finds a table and goes to sit down. What's the reaction from the two of you who are already there?
I immediately greet her and just kind of do one of the, if I can get in contact with her. I don't know about her bodyguard situation, if she's just got like a square of them around her and it's impenetrable. But if there is a potential moment where I can get her attention, I just say, "Oh, thank you so very much for deciding to have your party here. I hope you find everything to your liking and to your daughter's liking."
Okay, so you approach with that, and you do the thing where the bodyguards motion to stop you, and she sort of shoos them aside, and she says, no, it's fine, it's fine. And she sort of reaches out and takes your hand like a celebrity would, and sort of says, "Oh, you're welcome. Are you the?" She makes small talk with you, and says, "Are you the you're the lady who runs the club, right?"
I am, yes. Montmirail, it is such a pleasure to meet you. I've heard wonderful things.
It's yes, thank you. It's very kind, very kind. Please, I won't distract you. You can get back to business. I'm sure you have a lot to do. And she goes back to sort of staring at her drink. And coming up on her side at that moment, like just as you start to walk away, is Velatron. He says, "Mother, is there a problem?" And she says, No, Velatron, it's fine." And he walks off, still talking on his phone, kind of a disappointed look in his eye. It's curious.
Okay.
Now,
Montmirail takes note of that for later.
Great. The next person who enters is, we'll just say that you know who this is. This is a revel Zeruel. Ooh, the names. A revel is another angel. I'll put it in chat just in case you want it. And a revel is Princepsa's first ward, which means that a revel stands to inherit the title when the Princepsa dies or retires. Now, the only complication here is that a revel is not the Princepsa's daughter. Sorry. Instead, a revel used to be a courtier, and even after Velatron had awoken, Amathea granted the first wardship to a revel, and instead made her son, Velatron, her champion, her bodyguard assistant. A revel is high cheekbones, sort of looks kind of like, he's got blonde hair that's slicked back. She's got blonde hair that's slicked back. She is dressed in an androgynous way, in sort of a suit, but with a V-neck T-shirt underneath it that cuts down very low. And she immediately walks and goes to the side of the Princepsa and takes her place there. So, I would guess at this point, the Tsar would be showing up before too long.
Oh, definitely.
And scanning the room. And when Denethea sees you, Visar, she sort of walks over and she says, "Oh, I'm so glad you could come." And then she sort of like gestures at her wrist to remind you of the embarrassing thing that happened earlier and sort of like hint at it. And then she sees Lucian next to you and she sort of pats him on the cheek. She's like, "Hey, cutie." And like, just sort of schmoozing and stuff like that. And she says, "Oh, I'm glad you could make it. I didn't expect all these people because I didn't think it'd be such a big idea, but it is." And anyways, please enjoy. And you didn't have to bring me a present, so that's fine. And there's a pause. Okay, and she walks off. Do you do anything?
I look at Lucian.
Mm-hmm.
I turn to Palantha. Find her something.
Excellent. Palantha runs off out of the club. There are plenty of shops around. But Palantha runs off looking. The party goes on. It's enjoyable, if not a little bit self-aware, because everyone is sort of trying to be at their best around this royalty. As all of you know, to have the Princepsa there is an occasion, because since the death of her husband, she barely leaves her room, let alone her house. Many of the lords and ladies of Bridgewood Boulevard show up, one at a time or in pairs, along with many of their consorts and courtiers. It's a very fancy party. We'll say that because of the talk that Monterey had with Posh, the staff is doing a terrific job. The entertainment that evening is very good. At several points throughout the evening, Denethea is in the middle of the dance floor, spinning in a circle, her arms in the air, having the time of her life. And if you sort of follow her gaze back to her mother's not even paying attention, doesn't notice. Ruben, what is your plan to schmooze with the Princepsa?
I think the easiest way to get to her would probably to get in good with her kids.
Okay. Which kid do you start with?
So her
There's
daughter is
Velatron,
currently dancing.
who's the champion. Yeah, and Denethea is dancing. Velatron is her champion. He's currently 10 feet away from his mother, sort of trying just to be on hand in case of anything.
Got it. Okay. I think unfortunately the easiest one might have to just be Denethea, which is also the most risky.
Okay. So she's currently on the dance floor. Do you join her or do you wait for her to leave?
I'm going to. Oh boy. I'm going to. Is there any one of her guards currently within the vicinity of her? Or basically, has anyone offered to dance with her already? And if so, have they been stopped?
Gotcha. We'll say that she is dancing in a tightly knit circle of people who you would assume to be her courtiers. I guess the comparison would be like her ladies and men in waiting. You know, kind of the people she keeps close on hand, her entourage folks. But all of her guards seem to be sort of around the dance floor. You haven't seen anyone stopped, but you haven't seen anyone brave enough to try either.
Okay. I guess I'm just gonna have to go up there and it's going to be a risky maneuver. I'm going to go up there, and I'm going to try and make it seem as though she bumps or interrupts me in a way.
Okay. So you walk up there, you've got a drink in your hand, ready to spill it on yourself or something like that. And you get within range, and I think maybe what we could say is halfway through the party. So who knows, maybe that's like 5 hours in, right? And she is dancing a little bit more wildly and clumsily. I'd like a challenge roll from you, though, to see if you can stage it that she bumped into you.
Let's see. Look through my traits. I'm gonna go ahead and say, for traits to add to this to help me out here, I'm gonna say wise. I feel like this might not be wise, but you know.
Yeah. Okay, but let's put it in there for now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say wise. Unmoved by intimidation, and I still have the presence of being trustworthy.
As anybody knows who's ever tried to dance with somebody that they don't know, just getting out on the dance floor is intimidating, but you are unmoved by it, right? And what was your third one? Remind me.
Trustworthy under Aegis.
Okay, cool. I'm going to use that red die in your corner to get rid of wise, because you're right. This isn't wise. This is brazen. So I'm going to use that, though, just to take it away for the sake of that. So we'll do 2 d8s and 1 d6 to see how this goes.
Sure thing. All right. 2d8.
Folks at home, don't forget you can donate shards, criticals, to help these folks make their rolls.
Okay, so the first d8 is a 5, the first d6 is a 4, and the second d8, that's a 1.
Oof. Okay, for that 1, mark 1 on your trouble sheet. And instead of making it seem like an accident, it succeeds. She bumps into you, but it's almost like there's a bit of a record scratch. And her whole entourage sort of turns to look at you, expecting you to do something.
Okay. I'm gonna have to use my Grimcraft.
Ooh, what is that? Tell us about it.
So, as an infernal, I have a Grimcraft, which is an ability I can use based on my current house. During your time in hell, you used to punish your victims in a certain way. Like all the infernals from your bloodline, it became a part of you. You can use a question, how can I make them feel true guilt in this instance, in the same way as the theme questions by spending a shard.
Okay. So you spend a shard to make her feel like it's her fault. And you know that the way to make it... you know that the way to make her feel true guilt for this is for you to spill it on your shoes. Because you have nice shoes, and she loves them. And you don't know that she loves them yet, but you sense that within your original being, that spilling these on your shoes would, like, cut her right to the heart.
Okay, and Ruben feels a little guilty because he also likes these shoes because these are shoes that Caleb got him.
Oh no.
This is gonna be unfortunate, but he is going to
What a sacrifice.
He's gonna spill some onto his shoes.
Okay. He spills that, like, so there's this thing, you bump into her, she spills, everyone turns to look at you accusingly. your sense of hearing disappears. Like, you can feel the music, but you can't hear it, you know? And she looks at you, and you watch her eyes follow down to your shoes, and she puts her hands, and she's like, oh my gosh. She's like, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. And she turns back to her entourage, and she's like, keep dancing, keep dancing. And she turns towards you and starts dancing with you very inappropriately. She's like, I'm really sorry. I'm Denethea. What's your name?
Ruben. It's no problem. It's bound to happen sooner or later. My husband got these for me like some years back on an anniversary.
Oh.
And honestly, I'm amazed they've made it this far.
Oh, okay. They're really cute. I know a designer who could make you another pair if they're ruined or something like that. And they give it to me at cost. They give it to me. It's so cheap. You wouldn't even believe it. And she's like grinding up on your leg this whole time. It's uncomfortable and weird, but also she's having the time of her life, and it's her birthday, you know? And she's like, Ruben, okay, Ruben, do I know a Ruben? What do you do? Like, what's your deal? What are you about?
In my court, I'm responsible for future transportation accessibility, as well as responsible for future upcoming negotiations amongst the different houses, sort of help interconnect the lower tiers.
Yep. She stares at you blankly for a moment because you used a lot of words, and she's like choo-choo trains?
Yeah, like choo-choo trains.
Oh, I love trains.
We got one
and like she keeps dancing with you. And
I think we got one that makes smoke come out.
Ooh. And she's like, yeah, I love smoke too. Do you have any weed?
Not on me. I have to keep up appearances, you know how it is.
Okay. And she keeps on like dancing with you. And this goes on, and you have a nice little conversation with this weird girl. And you have a connection there, let's say. So we're going to mark one off your endeavor sheet. So you get to take a step in your endeavor, knowing that you have this connection with her house. What is Vesar doing? How is she spending her time at this party?
Mostly watching, observing, seeing who is here that is useful to me.
We haven't talked about Vesar's long-term plans yet. What kind of endeavors are they into?
Well, aside from just having fun, having a good time in whatever way it takes, she just wants to be known as powerful. To have everyone look at her and say, I'm not messing with that.
Excellent.
And to have everyone at my beck and call.
I would say this. For the folks in this room, you know that possibly the most powerful people in this room are Lord Avatron and Lady Electra. They have, you're not sure of what their personal relationship is like, of what their marriage is like, but you know that they're very influential. And at this point, it's nice to point out that all of the NPCs in this game have secrets. There are dirty secrets, there are silly secrets, there are dark secrets. And you probably would know, just from who you are and your party lifestyle, that anything that you can get on Lord Avatron and Lady Electra might be in your favor. It might be able to use it at a future time, for something small or something big.
Have I heard any interesting rumors about them? Looking at my special questions.
Would you like to spend a shard
Yes.
to ask that question? Excellent.
Yes, I would.
Very nice. And remind me again, what's the wording of the question itself? I'm going to look for it myself.
Exactly that. What interesting rumors have I heard about them?
Oh, excellent. I love it. Okay, so mark a shard off, and I'll let you pick one of them. Which one of them would you like to have heard a rumor about? Avatron or Electra?
I think Electra.
Okay. Here's what you know already, is Lady Electra is very different from you. Whereas you are interested in power for the sake of having a good time and revelry and all these things that come with this, keeping the force field afloat, feeding the Sephiroth. You happen to know that Lady Electra is kind of a stone-cold politician by nature, which is unusual for someone whose husband runs a nightclub. She is a diplomat. The Princepsa often uses her on diplomatic missions to other domains. But she does have secrets. Would you like a surprising secret about her or a dirty secret?
Surprising.
Oh, great. The general impression that these two give to the society around you is that they are cold, that they're mismatched. But the secret is that one of your courtiers saw them in a moment when they thought they were alone. And it seems like they're very much in love, which doesn't seem like a lot of information, but you know that she takes lovers frequently to prove that she's not committed to one person. And it's possible that she's trying to make sure that no one knows about this deep love that she has for her husband. So that's a little bit of a gain for you. If anyone were to find out, it might endanger her political standing. Who knows? But just as you're thinking about that, something happens. Velatron, the champion of the Princepsa, and her son, gets a phone call. You see him reach into his pocket and takes out his phone, which is buzzing, and he sort of puts it up to his ear. And anybody who's watching, which for the sake of bringing these characters together, we'll say is all three of you, anybody who's watching sees his face kind of go through a journey. And at first, he seems to be concerned, anxious. And then he seems to be pleased, as if he's been given a gift. And then he gets his face under control, and he sort of switches to like this professional type of face. And you see him moving his mouth, but the music is so loud, you can't hear what he's saying. But just as this finishes, you see him put his phone away, walk over to his mother, share a few hushed words. And then he goes up to that small stage where Iulia was singing earlier. and sort of motions for the music to be brought down. He approaches Montmirail as this happens, and he says, pardon me, I'd like to make an announcement to the people present, if that's all right. It's a matter of political importance.
Absolutely, whatever you require.
If you could have your people sort of make sure everyone's paying attention. Yes.
Absolutely. And I immediately go over to Asmodeus and tell Asmodeus to go through the entire court and let everyone know that they must be
Excellent.
Making sure everyone's attentive to this announcement.
Excellent. As Asmodeus moves through the crowd, Ruben and Zoara, you hear people starting to whisper, and you hear words like new law and the rules about love is despair, and you hear someone say, oh, I've been waiting for her to come to her senses and revoke this law. This is the general feeling within the crowd. And then Velatron gets up onto the small stage and says, everyone, can I have your attention, please? Denethea is still dancing. There's no music. He says, first of all, and he looks down, he's like, Denethea, sister, stop dancing. And she stops. He says, first of all, I'd like to propose a toast, so if you have a drink, if you could raise your glass, I'd like to wish a very happy birthday to my darling sister. And he raises his glass and sort of indicates for everybody else to do the same. Right. And he says, happy birthday, darling, many happy returns. And everyone says, yes, hear, hear, cheers. And they all drink, and Denethea goes, woo! Like that. He says, now, more good news for everyone. I know that some of you have been speaking about the law changes. We have a new change. And he says, from now on, by order of the Princepsa, spouses will not be seen talking to one another or otherwise interacting publicly outside of their own holdings. And there is this low rumble of discontent that moves throughout the crowd as people doubt their ears, and there's sort of whispers of disbelief or outrage. And he says, now this goes into effect immediately. Now, I know that all of you care about the Princepsa and her heart, and it's been so hard for her, so no more interactions in public. And the mood in the room begins to go up, and Electra and her husband that Zoara saw, you see them like storm out, like in the middle of this decree, and they seem angry. And Velatron says, so the Princepsa won't be taking any questions, but again, this goes into effect immediately. So if you are here with your spouse, we will have to ask you to separate, and please don't make any contact until you're within the bounds of your own holding. Thank you. Can we get the music started? And the music does not start. And he sort of looks at Montmirail to sort of fix this, and he says, can we get the music started?
Absolutely. And then I will hush or like hurriedly like slap the arm of one of my courtiers like to the side and have them rush off and go take care of it.
They run and plug their phone into the sound system. No. Connect to Bluetooth. Get their Spotify playlist. The rest of the party is a bummer. For everybody except for Denethea, I think, who seems oblivious to this. She's still having a great time. As you scan your eyes around the folks present, you can see that some of them are angry outwardly. Some of them are uncomfortable and are sort of reduced to making eye contact with their partners from across the room. And everyone seems to obey the law because, I mean, that's the way this society works. But there's a lot of discontent. Some people are trying to walk up to the Princepsa and talk to her themselves and are getting turned away. A few hours later, maybe 1 hour later, the Princepsa seems to be putting her things away and getting her jacket on and starts to signal that she's getting ready to go. Is there anything you want to do before she leaves?
Before she leaves, at least I will, if her bodyguards allow, because of the new kind of interaction with the people around her, if it's possible to get a word in, just thank her for coming and you know, hope your evening is nice. Just like a little send off.
Sure. You try to approach, and in a way that's different than the first time, her first ward, a reveal, the angel, the woman with the suit, steps forward and sort of says, "I'm sorry, dear, she's not taking any questions."
Oh, pardon me, I wasn't trying to ask any. I just wanted to wish her farewell on the ride home back to the holding, and thank her for bringing us with her presence. That was all.
Oh, okay. She says, "I'll be sure to pass it along," and she winks at you, signifying who knows what.
Thank you.
She goes to follow her out. Are Vasara or Ribbon doing anything?
I need to give Denethea the present that I bought for her. Yes.
That you bought for her in advance. And your courtier comes back. What did your courtier find for Denethea?
A bracelet.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay, and she says,
jewels,
your courtier
silver.
comes up to you and shows it to you, and she says, it's wrapped already, so you have no idea what's inside. But she tells you that it's a jeweled bracelet, and it's very nice. And so you walk up to Denethea, and she is kind of like swaying on her feet a little bit. This party pretty hard. Many of her friends and courtiers are kind of drifting off to the side. Some are asleep on the tables. And Denethea is still going strong. But she sees you approaching, and she says, "Lady Thessar, it's my birthday."
Yes, it is, darling. And
she
I
smiles.
want to apologize for being remiss in not giving you your gift earlier.
You have a gift for me? You didn't have to do that. And she holds out her hands.
Well, it's your birthday.
Like within the same breath.
I had to. Yeah.
And she takes it, and she opens it up. And I'd like you to make another challenge roll for this.
Oh, dear.
I want to see how this young woman, who just this morning was handcuffed in your basement, takes to receiving a bracelet as a gift. And we'll see how it goes. Now, do you have any traits that would assist you in this role? Any sort of social stuff? I see that, let me look. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That one of your traits is that you love wild parties.
Yes. And that I also like the rebels. And she seems a little rebellious. Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to also add one more. And it's not in your traits, it's that she sees your socialite identity, and she really kind of has started to admire you a little bit for that. And so we'll add another one. So roll 3d8, and we're looking for 5s and 7s only.
There's the other one. I have enough dice. I should have 3d8s, right? All 5s.
That's all successes. That's 3 successes. So she opens the gift. She looks at the bracelet, and not only is she happy with it, but she looks at it and she goes, "Oh my gosh." And she's like, "Because I was in handcuffs," and thinks it's like an inside joke. And goes to hug you, and just sort of squeezes you really tight, and you can smell the alcohol on her breath. And I'm going to have you add one more advancement to your endeavor. In terms of wanting respect and being known for who you are as someone powerful, I would say that she's now an admirer of yours.
Excellent. Cool.
Wonderful. And she's standing there hugging you, and after a while you realize that she's fallen asleep on your shoulder. So you're standing there in the middle of the dance floor with this woo girl asleep on your shoulder.
Pretending I'm slow dancing.
Really good. Now, people file out one by one. Towards the end of the evening, the only people there are Denethea and her entourage, who are all passed out hard cold. Obviously, Monmaray and her staff, who are exhausted, feel successful, but everyone is kind of still reeling from that news. Visar, you and Lucian are there, but you're not allowed to be within a few feet of each other. And Reuben, you're still there also, just sort of hanging on. And one way or another, the three of you wind up within proximity of one another. In a weird backwards way of doing a session 1, I think this is a good time for our characters to meet each other for the first time. We'll say that you all know each other's names, and maybe know a thing or two about what they're known for. But all three of you are sort of leaning against a rail, overseeing the carnage of the aftermath of this birthday party. What are you talking about?
Well, that was an interesting party.
Yeah. I never saw a mood change so quickly.
Right? Do you think it was prompted by the party?
I wouldn't think so.
There's something off.
Yeah.
What about you? And she points over to Reuben.
Reuben opens his mouth, and as he does, he's been holding it in and occasionally stepping outside. The moment the news broke out, he got incredibly upset, and his own scars started showing, which for him manifests in a lot of just thick black smoke, as if someone were burning charcoal, just pouring from his mouth the entire time. And when he goes to respond to you, there is a clear voice coming from him, but not from his mouth, since it's kind of a steam pipe at this point. And you just hear somewhere from his abdomen, he just responds, "I can't believe this, the audacity."
It's Interesting. I don't know if anyone else got a glimpse, but she was crying. And seemed like she wasn't having very much fun, so I wonder if it was the party that did something to push her over the edge.
No reason for her to take it out on the rest of the entirety of Bridgewood.
I feel the same way. Are we supposed to just act like mindless, loveless fools? I don't understand how I'm supposed to be in public anymore. Everything seems fake.
Monmarai, at that moment, you hear Iulia at your side, and she says, "Well, technically, we're not in public, sweetie. I mean, this is our holding. You and I can be together, as long as we stay here."
True, but that is not the same for our patrons and clientele, which puts a very large mark on the business. Most people come here to
That's a good
enjoy time
point.
with their spouses.
You know I'm into discipline, but this isn't what I was talking about.
And she kind of just like, she'll grab her hand and kind of rub the back of her hand.
Oh, that's sweet. And she says, Iulia says, there is something weird going on here, but I don't know what's at the heart of it. I suppose all we can do now is wait for the next thing to happen. Seems, what's the word? Reactive? I don't know.
I mean, it might be. And she turns a little bit more body language towards Ruben and Visar. I mean, do you all plan to bide, or do you have other things in your brain to get beyond this? I'm kind of at a loss.
Well, we do need to follow the laws. So unless it gets changed.
As you say that, Visar, you see Lucian still keeping a distance from you, but somewhat sad. Not because you're soulmate lovers, but because you're best friends. And he is making his way toward the door. And perhaps the most alarming thing, or unusual thing, is that you can tell that he's stone cold sober, which is not like him at all. And he sort of waits there by the door until you notice, as sort of a signal to say that he's heading home. He blows you a kiss back. And with the music ended and the only sound being the light snores of Denethea and her friends, it feels like a pretty sad way to end a party. But there we are. And that's where we'll end session 1, I think. In future weeks, we'll keep unraveling this and see what happens next, and all the other things that are going on. Hey, that was great. That was a great first session. For those of you who are watching, I know we seem like experts. This is our first time playing this system, and for it being a brand new system, I thought y'all did terrific, and I'm so happy with all of my thirsty friends. Really terrific, really great. Chat, thank you so much for being here and for keeping things going. We'll be back next week. We have 7 total sessions. We're going to end right before Christmas. And I keep making jokes about how it would be funny to have a very special Christmas special, but I don't know how this would work in this setting. So with that in mind, let's go around the circle. I'm going to have each folk tell me a little bit about the system, what you liked about it, what you're learning about it, what clicked for you tonight, whatevs. Or if you'd like, you could highlight something that somebody else did that you were especially happy with. And then I want to hear who you are, where we can find you on the internet, what's coming up next for you, and just how you're doing in general. Let's start. We'll do the same order. Hey, Ray. How are you? I love Mama Ray. I love Mama Ray, right?
Yes, I'm. Whew, this is a spicy game,
It's a
and
campaign.
I'm so excited. It's so like mechanic wise, it's very easy to catch on to, and I like that we all got to pick from these list of traits, and we can kind of finagle them in whatever way we want based on the person. And it's not like I don't know, it's not like, it doesn't feel concrete, it doesn't feel crunchy, it feels very loose.
It doesn't
and
feel like
open-ended.
math. It feels more like story than like math.
It's just very easy to get into role play and to be like, oh, okay, sure, yeah, I'll roll some dice, and like even the outcomes were like, all right, that seems plausible, all right, how do I react from that? So the mechanics of the game were really easy to pick up on, which I love so much, because half of the time I'm nervous when I start a new campaign because of a new character, and the other half is for mechanic reasons. And I felt as soon as we started getting into it, I wasn't nervous about mechanics anymore, and I was just, in the role play in the moment. So I really enjoyed that. I'm also going to highlight Ruben, because I love the description of just like what your character does and how everything looks. Like, I'm really big on mental imagery when playing games, especially when you play like a demon or an angel, like what you look like and how your presence is perceived. So I love your descriptions. Amazing.
Thank you so much.
But yeah, no problem. I'm with a brick up there. You can find me on most socials like that. Nope, this way. I'm a variety streamer here on Twitch as well. I'm a role player. I love doing things like this, and I had a great time. And I can't wait to see all these things unravel, because knowing what my character loves to do, I'm just like, oh, I have to talk to so many people. I was like, I'm gonna find all the spicy bits. Like, give me all this.
Who's stealing from you?
Yeah, who's stealing from me?
Oh, wow.
Really I love being a part of this. Thank you so much.
Yes, it's awesome. Thank you. Hey, Cadence, Mama Cadence, how are you? How was this for you?
Oh, this is good.
This is, again, we said at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's out of, it's not your usual style, but I thought you were fantastic.
No.
Did you have a good time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Being social, it is a huge stretch for me. I mean, I can be social, I just don't talk to anybody, So, right. But yeah, I love the system that you get to choose all these traits, and then you use them to make your roles better, and it's amazing. I love this. Love it so much. Plus, you only need a few dice. So.
Yeah. You don't need a ton of dice. If I can add something, I love just sort of what happened with the relationship between Visar and Lucian. And I love their friendship marriage. And it's pretty, like, it kind of got me right in the heart that they're obviously best friends. And so I wanted to thank you for that.
Almost certainly. Yeah. You should always have a spouse that's your best friend too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm Cadence. I can be found at Magdalene Bloom on the Twitter, where some reason I'm talking a lot about politics this week. Something's going on.
What's happening with politics?
I don't know. Next Monday, I believe it is, I start with the Vampire the Masquerade on Party Wipe Games.
Nice. Yeah. You're all sorts of dark socialite stuff going on.
And it's kind of ironic, because the character I play there is one I'm bringing over from a home game called Lucian.
So excellent. I love it. Fantastic. Thank you, Cadence. Hey, Ruben.
Thank you.
Ruben. Really, it's Hull. Really, it's really Hull. I mean, that's really your name. How about you? Did you have a good time? Was this off to a good start for you?
I had an amazing time. It always starts out incredibly nerve-wracking just to make sure that I have everything that I need for my character. Everything, more so on like my part of how much am I going to forget that I spent so much time memorizing. But I did end up enjoying myself partway through, and the nerves kind of washed away. The system is really fun as someone who does prefer a lot of tabletop games that go into more of the storytelling aspect. I like that a lot more, and I really enjoy that a lot of the anytime the players can be as much the writers of the story as the DM is always just a fun time. And I do want to give some special highlights of my of tonight's game as well, with just right out the gate, both Momrai and Visar in their immediate first scene, just the most power emanating from their interactions with other people. I'm Ruben may not be intimidated, but I certainly was. I didn't know what I was gonna come here bringing, but
I love it. We're summoning that power, right? Where can we find you on the internet? What else do you have going on that we should look out for?
You can find me at Bubbly Cream Soda on Twitter. I don't use it that often, but when I do, I usually post art that I do for fun, or just retweet a lot of information that may be necessary to helping someone who is having a bit of a hard time, and they're a bit of a hard time right now on their own, and it doesn't hurt to at least get the word out. Aside from that, mostly just here on this channel every Friday for the Defiant games. That's about it.
Awesome, and we're glad to have you. I'm Doc Rimbo. First of all, if you're watching on YouTube and you've made it this far, give yourself a pat on the back and give us a like and a subscribe and comment on something positive, because if people don't comment, it's just internet bots posting emojis and weird stuff on YouTube. So please do that. Also, we want to thank everyone in chat one more time. Thanks to our sponsors, including Defiant and other cool games like I have to look it up again one more time. All the sponsors. Someone do a sponsor command in chat. Someone do a sponsor. Sponsors. There it is. Special thanks to Snowhaven. Special thanks to Axon Plunk and iHunt and Modifius, publisher of awesome games. We really appreciate that. I'm Doc Rimbo on Twitter. I'm also Doc Rimbo on twitch.tv/Doc Rimbo, where I've been streaming more and more. Tomorrow I am going to be, oh my gosh, I almost forgot. Next week we'll be back at this time with our friend Val, who is going to complete our quartet with her angel named Miles. And I can't wait for her to show up and him to show up and figure out how they change the story. So we're excited for that. Tomorrow I'm going to be on Val's channel as a part of Extra Life, playing Dungeons and Dragons in an adventure where we are a ska band, and everyone in the group is a bard except for me, who is an orc sorcerer barbarian who dances on the side of the stage. So everyone should tune in for that tomorrow on Valdrianth. I hope that you can make it. If you want to come watch me, I've been doing a lot lately of streaming Wild RP, which is an online role-playing community using Red Dead Redemption 2, and it is so much fun. And in fact, I think that's what we're going to do now. If what Charlie says is true, we're going to go over and raid the channel of Ghosts TV, who is one of the deputies in the Red Dead world. So everyone stay close, stay ready. And here's what I want you to do. I'm going to put this in chat. Okay, stay here. And I'm going to write these words. Everyone go in for this raid and write "sexy Pushkin." Okay? And you might have no idea what that means, but Kieran will. Okay, Deputy Kieran, who you're about to see. Everybody, thank you. Thank you for being here. Check us out on Discord. Please follow us on Twitter, and be back next week on Friday and on Monday for the Game of the Thrones. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Bye. Everyone leave.